Yo, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Now, today we've got some more information about Path of Exile 2. We've got some big changes. So basically, these are sort of patch notes, but not the full patch notes. These are like the pre-patch notes, if you like. But you literally, again, whilst I was asleep, because obviously GGG is over in New Zealand. So normally when they're waking up, I'm fast asleep. So I wake up to some juicy information pretty much all the time. But before we get into this, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you're interested in Path of Exile 2, or if you're interested in RPG games as a whole, because that's what I cover here on the channel. I do guides and news for ARPGs, MMORPGs, and all open world RPGs. So yeah, consider giving me a thumbs up. But let's get into the video. So Path of Exile 2 has been live for just over a week now, and we've addressed some feedback already. And we are working on more fixes for key pain points in an upcoming patch. The full patch notes are coming soon, but check out some of the more significant changes below. So like I said, there is going to be a big full patch notes with a lot of information, I guess, and a lot of numerical data. So we'll have to wait and see when that happens. But gameplay features, which they mentioned last week, they're going to be adding the capacity to fast travel between checkpoints within an area, as well as adding many more checkpoints to the areas, which this is going to be really huge, guys, because the maps, especially in Act 3, if you haven't got there yet, the maps in Act 3 are absolutely huge. And there seems to be very few checkpoints. So, you know, if you maybe get to the checkpoint like towards the beginning of the map, and then you get over halfway and then you die, you've got to go all the way back again. So I'm really pleased to see that they're going to let us, you know, fast travel between unlocked checkpoints and also adding more into the areas, which is really good. They're also going to be making passive point respecking cheaper, especially at high levels. This again is a major W, because when you get to towards the end game and you need to respec, because obviously they've done quite a few big nerfs recently and some fixes and stuff like that, you need to respec quite a lot of nodes, and it can cost a lot of gold. So I'm glad to see that they're doing this. So it's going to basically result in a 40 to 50% less gold cost for respecking between the start and the middle of end game progression. So again, big W's. And then the next big point of like pain, a lot of players have been fine. To be honest, I've been okay. I did mine and I've been fine. I've got my ascendancy points, and yes, the first couple times I tried it, it was a lot of pain. But then yeah, after that it wasn't too bad. But I can understand a lot of players having a lot of problems because the honor damage was definitely a pain. So now they're changing it. So for close range, they're reworking how it scales. So this is going to help a lot of melee characters. Also, apparently there was a bug. I didn't even know this, but there was an important bug that was causing players to take far too much honor damage from dots. So I never realized this, but the honor damage, the dots was causing us to take way more than we was meant to. So the honor damage now scales down based on the distance to the enemy. So when you're in close range, you're going to take 35% less honor damage, and it tapers off as you get further away. Then the bug where the dot damage was dealing thrice as much as damage to honor as intended. And then they fixed the bug where the honor resistance was only applying to 2/3 of that damage, which they were completely confused as well. The skitter golems no longer use basic attacks, and now they just explode. The serpent clan's burrow and ambush attack has now improved visual telegraphing, and it cannot be used from as far away. Again, that is another big W. The volcanoes created by the rattle cage's Fisher Slam now last half the duration. Again, very good. Now this again, I'm in the cruel difficulty, so I'm not at the proper end game yet, but I'm getting close there. So I didn't get a chance to obviously witness this for myself, but I saw a lot of people saying in the end game that there was a bit of a problem with the balancing. So it's more punishing than intended currently. So what they're doing is they're toning down the damage, and they've disabled a certain on-death effect where the telegraphing was not as clear as it should have been. So the maps no longer have additional elemental resistance penalties inherently applied at tier 6 and tier 11 or higher. It is now consistent across all of the endgame, which I think is brilliant. Chaos damage now also scales less aggressively over the endgame. So with this, like I said, apparently chaos damage was ridiculous, and you couldn't, a lot of people didn't have enough chaos resistance and stuff like that. So they're obviously scaling it a lot less now, which is good. Critical strikes for monsters now deal 40% less bonus damage. They've lowered the baseline monster density of breach encounters by reducing the frequency of the elite monsters that appear. Disabled the volatile crystals modifier. They're going to revisit that in the future, pending telegraphing improvements. Purple explosives created by the volatile plants modifier on the rare monsters now deals a significantly less amount of damage. Now, again, all sounds good. Like I said, I haven't been able to experience this myself, but it sounds good. The Siphon's Flask Charges modifier on monsters now drains 10 times less charges per second. This was unintentionally draining way too many charges. Okay, yeah, I can see how that's going to be a big problem. These changes should generally result in an endgame that is much more survivable than before, and then they're going to continue to address the problems as they arise. Now, character and item balance. They've made charm modifiers on belts substantially more common, and it appears at much lower levels now. The Off Symbolism modifier now appears from level 23 onwards. Off Inscription, level 64 onwards. Electrocute is now 25% harder to build up, but the damage penalty has been removed from the support gem. Okay, we're going to have to wait and see how that plays out. Added a new lightning damage and electrocute cluster to the passive tree in between the ranger and the monk sections. It's now more difficult to chain freeze enemies by reducing the amount of freeze buildup applied after a freeze has been applied. Okay. The Hunter's Talisman Notable now grants a +1 charm slot. The small passive skills leading up to it now grant the stat it formerly gave. The charm text has been updated. Okay. You cannot have more than 3 charm slots unlocked, so that they can add more sources to that in the future. Yeah, that's fair enough. Now they're going to be balancing the skills and the support gems. So they've had to obviously nerf quite a few skills that were overpowered. And then how do they define overpowered? Basically, when there's a meta that basically everyone just uses the same skills for every class that they're playing. Sorcerer does this, Comet, a cast on freeze, whatever it is, the meta, if they see everyone just only playing that, then they're going to nerf it, because they want people to have more variety, because more variety is more fun, right? Everyone doing the same exact stuff is pretty boring. Let's be real, guys. So they're going to try and do this in a way that it doesn't make it feel bad, but obviously they can make mistakes. There's going to always be meta changing stuff when a new league comes and stuff like that. So what they're doing is they're improving rolling slam and all shield skills in the mace section, so that's a buff to the mace. They're improving various bow skills, especially the skills used to generate the frenzy charges. They're also improving bone spells and the chaos damage over time in the occult section. They're improving some crossbow skills at the higher tier, which is great because I also have made a mercenary. I'm going to level him up very soon, so that's good to see. My crossbow is going to be doing even more damage. And then they're improving some of the underachieving quarterstaff abilities. So alongside all of these skill gem improvements, they've done a pass over the support gems as well. There's 2 new supports, and they removed or lessened the penalties on many others, notably the fire, lightning, and cold exposure supports. Added the Tremors support gem, which can be used to give up to multiple aftershocks to skills. Added the Bidding support gem, which can be used to give more damage to the command skills of supported minions. The fire exposure, lightning and cold exposure support gems no longer penalize damage of supported skills. They now have a mana cost multiplier of 120. Okay, so you're no longer losing damage, but we have a mana cost multiplier of 120%. Fair enough. There is also some noticeable nerfs to a few of the remaining overachieving skills. So Skeletal Arsonist Spirit cost now matches the other two skeleton mages. This should result in a slight decrease in the number of arsonists at a higher level. They're nerfing the dot damage component on very high levels of Tornado and Vine Arrow. These were never intended to be dealing damage themselves, but more so to act as a way for other skills. Okay. So yeah, so basically there was more of a support skill, but they were doing too much damage basically. Magnetic Salvo can now only use your stuck lightning arrows as opposed to those created by your party members. Well, yeah, that's fair enough. Makes more sense. And then lastly, they're saying obviously they're going to be winding down for the holiday season for Christmas. They wanted to thank all of us, and you know, it's been a very, very successful launch, and it really has. They've done so well. The game is phenomenal. Obviously, yes, there is problems, and it has been balance problems, but this is where the feedback comes in, and they have really been listening to the feedback of all of us players. This is just another proof that they're listening, and they're making some really, really, really good changes. So we're going to have to see as the time goes on, when they take their break, get your rest, GGG. You deserve the rest. It's Christmas time, but come back in the new year strong. And yeah, it's going to be happy to see. I'm going to be happy to see what the future brings in January and beyond in 2025 for PoE 2. But yeah, that's going to be it, guys. Hope you've enjoyed this one. Like I said, consider subscribing to the channel and give me a thumbs up. And I'll catch you in the next video. Have a beautiful day and a wonderful holiday. See you soon. Peace.